Are there other alternatives? Yes, there are. You look at Stormont. It consists of three primary functions. It has the executive function, it has the legislative function, and it has the scrutiny function. Now, only one of those has been a lamentable failure, that of executive devolution. The other two have worked reasonably well. So if you're faced with a situation where you cannot obtain and sustain an executive, then rather than throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, you look to save that which works. You look, therefore, to legislative devolution. And how do you do that? Well, you do have to have executive. You do have to have someone with executive power. So as part of the United Kingdom, my party's suggestion is that the plan B should be that, therefore, the British ministers exercise executive power, but they exercise it subject to Assembly control. In other words, they bring their legislation to the Assembly on transferred matters. They submit themselves to scrutiny of the committees in the Assembly. Their laws have to pass through the Assembly in all the usual stages. And ultimately, they come into law. And those ministers, under the Secretary of State, are exercising the executive functions. Now, in that system, there will be tensions and conflicts. And those tensions and conflicts will need mechanisms to resolve them. They're most likely to be around the tension between the executive wanting to endlessly, the Assembly wanting to endlessly spend money, and the executive having to hold on to the strings of the purse. So how do you resolve that? Well, it might surprise you to hear me say the answer maybe lies in an example which comes from the nefarious European Union. Because in the European Union, you have what is called co-decision. Decision-making on laws is shared between the Parliament and the Council of Ministers. And when there is conflict, they meet together, and this Parliament, in this case the Assembly, has a rapporteur to represent the interests of the Assembly, and they meet correspondingly with the Council of Ministers representative, and they thrash out their issues. So an element of co-decision is something which could help resolve the inevitable tensions that would arise. So TV says to you, yes, we'd love to have a functioning, proper executive on the basis of voluntary coalition with a vigorous opposition. But if that is too much for some, too democratic for some, then Plan B is legislative devolution with the scrutiny in the Assembly scrutinising the executive formed by NIO or British ministers.